What's up, YouTube? Welcome back to another video. This is the Deacon Speaks channel. I am the Deacon. Recruiters, this is for you. Software developers, IT professionals, and the like. This is also for you. Anybody else, let's put a pin in that. This guy got the assignment. Shout out to Edward Woods, man. I appreciate the comment. Edward says, thank you for making the video. I'm thinking about getting a job in IT, so your HR perspective, I think he meant to say, in the hiring process helps a lot. Also, love the fact that this is a reaction video to a live interview. I know nobody asked, but still. And you're right, Edward Woods. Didn't nobody ask you, man. But I'm glad you said something. I am glad you said something, for real. This is the exact reason why I'm doing this, okay? The whole point here is to really shed some light on this whole process. That's how I stumbled upon Josh Fluke's videos, and that's why we're doing another one today. Edward Woods, if you're watching this, I was trying to find some more of these live interviews. Unfortunately, I think that's the end of an era. Could not find them. But I'm still looking for more, maybe on some other channels, because I'd like to see them at least. But you see the thumbnail, recruiters lie, at least in the perspective of Josh Fluke and maybe a lot of others. And this is true, recruiters do lie sometimes, maybe a lot, maybe a little. I want to see which of these aren't lies necessarily, which of these are lack of knowledge, and which are the things that are out of the recruiter's control. But before that, be like my man Edward Woods right here. Like the video, comment, share it, do whatever you gotta do. Hit that like button like you just can't stand that little moment, you know what I'm saying? So let's go.
One thing I wanted to show you real quick are some of the kind of sketchy emails that I've gotten. So we have this dude here. His name is Jim McCrudden. He is your good old cyber coder recruiter pretty much. You can see here 140K plus for the job. But when I click on it, you can see if I scroll down a little bit, 110 to 130K. So number one, unless this was a typo, which I highly doubt because you got to think of these people as salespeople, he's just doing this to get me to click it, which is almost lying. And I really doubt someone will notice the difference between 140K plus when it's already capped at 110 and 130K here. This is all the same job. It says senior.
I was saying why even make it 140K, but yeah, that's no typo, especially if he knows it's capped at 130. Why in the title are you putting 140K plus? That's bullshit. That's why in outreach emails or in mails on LinkedIn and stuff, I don't like to mention anything about compensation, stuff like that, because I'd rather have the conversation first. In hindsight, if I'm looking for a job, I'll be honest, I want to know what that money's looking like before I, devote my time to having a conversation. I get that. So kind of ironic. Maybe I lose out on potential conversations because I don't mention compensation, but I like to think that the people that I end up speaking with, it's going to be quality over quantity. They're genuinely interested in the work. It's worth the conversation for them without knowing the compensation to come in and have this conversation with me.
Developer, senior front end, blah 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 .net, and he's changing the requirements of these subject emails to get me to click. It's clickbait. It's spammy clickbait. He started off with it's a candidate's market, and I didn't answer. And then he messaged me with 100K to 120K plus, and then it doesn't hurt to look for a new role. I'm pretty sure that these people from cyber coders don't even do anything except they just.
This is all for the same job? Yeah, that's a no-no. I mean, look at this. This looks like straight up spam. Like, why would you even trust? Why would you even want to engage with a recruiter like this? No offense to you, Jim McCrudden, but that just goes to show this dude is on his grind, which is great. Everyone should be on their grind, but this dude does not care about Josh. Answer my email and make some money for me.
Pick a drop-down list of like different subjects in their email, whatever, and then again he baits me here. 100 to 120, didn't respond. Close to your house, let's chat. Okay, you're just putting that. He didn't actually look it up, because when I called him, I did eventually call him at this top one. He was like, yeah, so where do you live? And I'm like, bro, you tell me. You're the one that said it's close to my house. What are you talking about? And then again, I didn't answer. And then here, he ups it to 110 to 130. This is all the same job, but he's just changing the titles and the subjects to get me to click. I didn't do anything until 140. And then I sorted these, and I went back through and I started looking, and I was like, this seems a little bit sketch. Just changing the titles to see what I'll click on so we can start a conversation with me. It's just real interesting the way that it works with recruiters. So anyways, I hope you enjoy this video, and I'll see you in the next one. Welcome to another video where I wear a shirt that really brings out my eyes. Thank you for noticing, guys. I appreciate you. In today's video, we're going to talk about recruiters and what I think about recruiters and how to work with recruiters. The question gets asked a lot. How do you work with recruiters? Do you think they're worth it? Do I think they're worth it? Personally, no, not really. Not unless you do it right. You gotta...
That's false. That's wrong, especially in today's age. I know this was a few years ago, but even then, these days, unfortunately for you, Josh, or any other software developers, recruiters, yeah, we're the gatekeepers in a lot of cases. You can apply to all the job postings on LinkedIn and the careers webpage all you want, but sometimes, man, that shit just gets lost in the weeds. We need you, you need us. That's why we're here.
You got to work with recruiters, but when you do that, you got to look out for yourself first. One of the common things that happens when you work with recruiters is they always ask you, are you working with any other recruiting companies right now? And the reason that they ask you this is because they want to be priority number one for you. It's kind of like a race. One job will put out a posting to a bunch of different recruiting companies, and whoever can get that person in first gets paid first. That's kind of how it works. So the answer, never say, yes, I'm working with other recruiters, because you're going to be put at the bottom of the priority list. They want someone who's going to be in a committed, dedicated relationship with that recruiter.
I never asked that question. I don't ask that question. Are you working with anybody else? I don't care. This is what I got. Are you interested? If not, time will tell. I'm going to stay consistent. I'm going to do my best to stay consistent with you within this relationship. Either I'll show my colors and my interest in you, or vice versa. I don't care who you're working with. I got what I got. Forget all them.
So basically, like, they want you to not work with anyone else just because they want you to take any job offer they throw at you, pretty much. It'll start off with something that you like, and that funding will get pulled from that job, and they'll throw you something else, and they'll throw you something else, and like, those are your only options because you're only working with that one recruiter. You got to work with multiple recruiters. You always got to say, no, I'm not working with anyone else, but then be dating other people, pretty much. That's kind of like,
or just be very transparent and say, hey, you got to work for me. I'm working with other people, but I'm open to hearing what you got to say. So, ball's in your court. You could be honest. We can all be honest, man.
Can't hate the player, you gotta hate the game. It's like when you're on Tinder, you got like 6 different girls, 6 different guys, but they don't need to know about each other, and that's just how it works. You gotta find the one that fits best with you. And I'm sorry out there for recruiters that watch this, but you gotta see it from our point of view. I had like 6 different recruiters email me for one job posting, and I just went with one of them, and I dropped the rest of them, even though it was for the same job. And they took me out to lunch, and they told me they had the next interview lined up, and blah, 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 but they wouldn't tell me the company name. They refused to tell me the company name. They're like, oh, don't worry, it's real close to you. It's like 20 minutes away. Finally, they told me the company name at like the last second, the day before I had to go to that company, do the interview, and it was like an hour and a half away. And I was like, are you kidding me? You know that I wouldn't have done this, but you know that I'm so close to the job, that I want the job, and that I need the money, so I'm probably willing to do it. But another job offer came in the next day, so like...
Okay, do recruiters lie? I mean, short answer, yes. That right there, though, that's... I'm sorry, Josh. I don't know who you've been working with, but that's BS. You know, I know staffing recruiters typically don't tell you the name of the company of their client until it gets a little further along in the process, but waiting until the last day, taking them to lunch and everything, saying I got an interview set up. Like, how are you going to have someone interview and they have no idea who they're interviewing for? He can't do his research. He can't, you know, look the company up, understand their values and things like that. Then just omit the fact that it's an hour and a half away. For some people, that's not doable. That you should bring that up. A lot of times, I think it's recruiters omit information.
I basically dropped it and got a free lunch out of it. So kind of like Tinder again, I guess, if you're not vibing with the person you're on a date with. But anyways, so dating with Josh, I guess. You have to understand, let me explain how recruiters work. Most of the time, recruiters come to you and they place you into a company, but that company doesn't hire you directly. They hire the recruiting firm. You're working at that company technically, but you're working for the recruiting firm. So the recruiting firm is going to charge the company that you're at like $100,000 a year, and they're going to pay you $75,000. So they're scraping $25,000 right off the top of your salary. Companies know this, but companies also want to have this try before you buy type of mentality, and I think companies that do that are pretty shitty, to be honest. Like, well, we want to test drive him first for like 6 months before if we think he's a good fit. Or what has happened to other people that I know is that work 6 months and his contract to hire. You're working for the recruiting company for 6 months, and then hopefully that company always like pulls you on at the end. So what you should ask, if this is a contract to hire position, what is the conversion rate? And conversion rate, I mean like what is the chances of me being brought on full time and still having a job after this contract? And they're like, oh yeah, normally it's pretty high. You want like a percentage. Get like a dedicated percentage of how many people they place that convert into a full-time employee. You got to understand.
Yeah, let me stop it there. That's a big one right there. I don't disagree with Josh on that one bit. With that 6-month contract to hire thing, this is where you got to be careful of recruiters selling a dream. And recruiters out there, if you're doing this, it's not really cool, man. Come on now, stop that. Saying, hey, yeah, 6 months contract, and then they always bring people on full time. The intent, it's very strong intent to bring them on full time, yada yada. Josh is right. Ask those questions because it may not always be the case. If you don't know what that percentage looks like or what it is, I think it's best to say, hey, look, just to be honest with you, I can't really tell you right now how much intent they have for converting to full time. It's all situational. All I can do is speculate at the end of the day. If that's not something that works out for you, let's look at some other things. Or you try to start to uncover what are your motivations for looking for a new job anyway. You really try to get to know that candidate, understand their passions, curiosities, interests, what they do, who they are, and then really understand what you're selling to. Because maybe at that point, if you feel like, hey, Josh, I mean, come on, you got to look at this. This is, whether it goes full-time or not, this could really propel your career in the direction that you want to go. This is what you're telling me. Ball's in your court now.
Companies know that they're being overcharged during the contract to hire phase, and it's cheaper to hire you directly. And so what I would recommend, if you wanted to skip recruiters, which is what you should try to do and not kind of be like pimped out by the recruiter to a company pretty much, is to get the company name from the recruiter. Like pretend like you're super interested, be like, yep, super interested, yep, really interested, want to do this. Yeah, what's the company name? I'm going to start researching so I ace the interview. And then you take the company name, you ghost the recruiter, and you just go directly to the company. And recruiters lie. Because it's cheaper for them to hire you directly. So companies will put out a job posting. They'll send it out to like 13 different recruiting firms. They'll all be competing for that one spot, but they'll also have that hire open directly. And so it's whoever can fill that spot first. But trust me, if you're going direct hire, direct to the company, they're probably going to hire you that way because you're a lot cheaper than having to pay a whole lot more to a recruiting company just to test you out for like 6 months, especially if you're...
Not always true. They're paying a large lump sum up front. That's the bill rate. And then the staffing company is taking a cut out of that and then paying you the rest. That's the pay rate. It's much easier for them, more efficient in terms of using up their resources in terms of personnel, HR. They don't have to handle benefits. They don't have to get compliant with taxes, 401k. They don't have to monitor your progress on a more HR level. So all those costs, all the extra personnel needed to bring someone on directly, I think that's where those larger costs come in. Also, I love you, Josh, but I disagree with it's easier to just get the company name, go directly. The position that you're talking about may only be available for contractors. They may not have full-time employment roles for that or headcount for that. But, I mean, you see, this is the vicious cycle. Just get the name and then ghost that recruiter. I just wish the approach overall was different. The stigmas were broken down in which there's more trust within the process. So it's not so much of a rat race. It's a little bit more of advocacy, consulting, and helping with that job search, with trust. But that's some shady, I'm telling you, recruiters... What they say, men lie, women lie, recruiters lie, developers lie. Got smoke for you too, Josh.
A cool candidate, right? If you're doing the research, you're doing all the things that you should be doing when you're applying to a job. I've had recruiters that I've worked with, and I've done the interviews, the fourth, fifth, sixth interview, and then at the last second, I get ghosted by the interview. So maybe it seems like I'm salty, but I've been ghosted.
That happens.
Well, I was like, am I getting a job? I've done like 6 interviews
bogus.
now. Or, like, what's happening? And they ghosted me because they found a better candidate. Well, a candidate that matched the job posting, that was more experienced, that was willing to work for what the recruiting company. So like the recruiting company is like, oh, we'll pay you like, $80,000 and blah, 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 blah. And person had a better chance of getting hired with that company, and the recruiters know the more money they can charge the company, the more money they get. So why are they gonna push so hard for someone who can only charge the company $100K for, when for that same job posting they could get someone that they could charge $125K for? And I know this depends on the budget, but basically the more money that the recruiting firm can charge the company, the more money that the recruiter can scrape off the top of your salary, which I think is kind of dumb. Recruiters make money at the rate that they can hire people, pretty much. And so that's why they're so pushy, and they'll send you the same job posting like 10 times, and they'll be like, hey,
Wild.
and they just throw anything at the wall. It's like taking wet spaghetti noodles and just flinging it at the wall. So they'll send you something outrageous with some number, and they know that you might not be a fit for this job, but they just want to start the conversation with you so that they could see if they could place you for another job that you might be a better fit.
I hope that's not the case. I hope in the majority within the recruiting industry, I hope that's not the case. Consciously sending a job to somebody that you know they're not a fit, but it looks good, just so you can shoot them down on the call and just create that contact, put that contact on your desk, and be able to send other things to this person. I don't know. I've never done anything like that. I gotta at least see some type of match. I'll at least say in the email, hey, this might be a stretch or something like that, but just wanted to get your thoughts. And if it doesn't work out, cool. If he's not exaggerating, he's either dealing with manipulative recruiters or just dumb recruiters.
This happens when companies don't have like the manpower to sort through or do the hiring process, or they're like pushing for a deadline or something, and they just don't have the time to manage this, and they don't want to handle it. Like, they have a hiring manager usually, like some guy is hiring for the position, but the recruiters are like, oh, I can get you direct to the hiring manager. And so what I would recommend would be to finesse the recruiter and be like, oh, could I get his email? I want to research him, look him up on LinkedIn so I can ace the interview. Like, always be like, oh.
I get questions like that all the time. It's funny when candidates don't think I know what they're doing. It's like, I know what you're doing. In those situations, if I feel a candidate is trying to finesse a little bit, I won't exactly call them out on it and say, why do you want to do that? So you can, because that's just petty. My response is usually something along the lines of, no, I can't do that, and let me tell you why I can't do that. And I don't necessarily put it on them, but I'm letting them know, I know what you're doing. You're not fooling me.
Research so I can look them up, but just like finesse, go around the recruiter if you can, and just move in for yourself. Just secure the bag for yourself. I'm sorry if that seems unethical. I'm sorry if you're a recruiter and you're hearing me tell people to do this. I'm gonna look out for me first. I can't help anybody else until I help myself first. And unfortunately, like, look, I know you want your money, but I want my money too, and there's a lot more other people you could target, and I'm just one individual. So the people that watch this video, just go around the recruiter if you can. So you just want to be like Ace Ventura, pet detective over here, and just pick up little bits and pieces about the company, anything that you can get from the recruiter about the company. You want to get them to reveal it to you ASAP so you can just go around and
I
go
don't blame him
because you're
for
cheaper,
that either.
shown initiative, and that, of course the company's probably going to want to hire you over a bunch of other recruiting candidates. I've had this one recruiting experience where you guys have seen those movies where people are walking down the hallway and you're like, there's like everyone is there for the same job and they're all like leaned up against the wall with their briefcase on like their lap or whatever. That was how it was, except there were like 4 different recruiting companies and 5 people each representing those recruiting companies, all competing for like 3 job openings at one company. We just had to take turns to go. It was like a smorgasbord of like candidates in our life, and I never want to have to do this again. To have us all sitting in a room looking at each other, all knowing that we're competing for the same job, it's just kind of like, really? All the other recruiters are pushing the other recruiters away, trying to be better. All the people representing the recruiting companies, they had all their like car salesman outfits on, and they were like, yes, our recruiting company has the best candidates, and the other, no, ours has the best candidates. And it was just really like, we're all here for a job. And I interviewed, and apparently I was in the top 3 candidates, and I was set to be hired 3 days. And then the next day, the first 2 got hired, but I didn't get hired. And the company's like, yeah, no, I think we're good with these 2. We're just going to pull funding. But we didn't find that out for the next 3 weeks. The sales guy for the recruiting company that I was, I guess, representing went to the job every day, and he was like bringing them donuts, and he was bringing them flowers. He's like, hey, so you're going to hire any more of our people? are you gonna hire when we have a
I
few
had a
more candidates
coworker
here?
just like that.
Really cheesy salesmen that go in and try to like get their people hired, and the company's like, look, dude, we know that you're gonna charge us $200,000 when we could just pay this dude directly like $80,000. We got 2 people already. That's enough money for us. We don't really care. Get out.
Yeah, I think you're looking at it all wrong here. The client, from a business standpoint, they know what contract they got into. They know what relationship they set up. They're paying for the staffing company to look, I'm going to pay you this. Whatever you can get with this, we'll work with our HR team to make sure our qualifications on the job description matches up with whatever whatever your fee is. Just handle it. This is our budget. We're willing to pay this. You can handle the rest. How much you pay this person or whatever, you work all that out. We've already budgeted this $200K that he's talking about. Pay him $1 if you want. So, Josh, I think it's not how it works, brother.
And then the CEO went on vacation. Recruiters just make you jump through these hoops over and over and over and over, and then hopefully it works out and hopefully it doesn't. It just depends on the ethics of your recruiter. They make commission. They make money at the rate that they can place people, and so the faster they can place people, doesn't matter where, they'll throw you at jobs you're not qualified for. They'll try and convince you that this job is amazing, and you go on Glassdoor and you look it up and the job sucks, and then you're like, oh, well, this is why they're hiring, because everyone quits. Tell you everything that appeals to you. I want to work remote, and they're like, oh, that's cool. We have a job that's flexible schedule, and I'm like, well, yeah, but can I be like at home and do this? And they're like, well, sorry, it's not remote. And I'm like, okay, well then I don't want to. But it's flexible. I'm like, bro, did you not hear me? I don't want to do this if it's not remote. Like, I don't want to drive an hour and a half. Well, it's only, it's 45 minutes if you leave early. I'm like, you're missing the point. And so they'll just try to convince you to take.
Man, see, I don't know what recruiters are out there like being combative like that. If someone tells you something, what their needs are, for me, that is now a no-fly zone. You know what I mean? Like, it's off limits. Don't push on it more. If people keeps pushing at your line, that's disrespecting your needs. In the end of the day, that just really shows your true colors. I see why you're on your guard, you're defensive with recruiters and stuff. Yeah, that's BS.
In my opinion, it makes me ask 2 questions. Like, what are the ethics of this person? And then, is this company even worth working for if they don't want to take the time out of their day unless there's a good reason to interview candidates for their own company? Just like, yeah, just give us some people. We don't care who, and let's just get the job done. Which makes me think that when I do get the job, at the end of it, am I still going to have a job? Do you really care about me? Why don't you spend the time to, like, get to know me first and decide if I'm a good culture fit before just, like, throwing money at the problem? And I don't want to be a problem, Sorry if you're a recruiter out there watching. Sorry, I shouldn't be telling people to, like, say, yes, I'm only working with you, but work with 13 other people, and sorry for looking out for myself first, except I'm not really. So maybe it seems like I'm really salty and I've just had bad experiences with recruiters, and that's because you're right, and I have, and I am, and I'm out for me. There's a sucker born every minute on LinkedIn for people that are coming into this industry, and it sucks to be those people, and I hope those people see this video. But you and I both know, recruiter people, that you can spam messages and all these boot camps and all these grads coming in you're trying to take advantage of. And so, like, look, I'm not going to fall for it, and whoever watches this video, please don't fall for it. But you can go target those other new people that don't know any better yet, but still, shame on you for being a dick. Hope it provided some value. Hope it gave you some insight into working with
all right, well, that's pretty much it. But yeah, he has a point. I mean, and clearly, yes, he's had some bad experiences. You could tell. It's almost like, what do they say, like, why a man becomes a dog? He got burnt a couple times by some women, and now that's why he's a dog. That's why he's a player, because, yada, yada, yada. I mean, that's a different topic. This is what I see with Josh right now. He's protecting himself because he's been walked over before, and that's unfortunate. That's why I say I'm not mad at him for this video, for him saying, hey, go ghost the recruiter. I mean, because but maybe it comes down to forming those expectations, establish those boundaries and your expectations up front. That way you don't have to leave yourself open to be a sucker. Know what you want, know what you're looking for. Don't bend on that. Be honest and everything like that. If you take that approach, the recruiter has no option but to be real with you. If you're upfront with the recruiter has to be upfront with you, and vice versa. Those little tactics he's talking about, I've been burnt too, where I thought we had something going here. I'm working with you, I'm really trying to help out, and then I get burnt. That was a learning point for me. It's a vicious cycle, and that's why I'm doing these videos, because I just don't think it has to be that way. But all in all, yes, there were some things in this videos that I think I agreed with. Straight up blatant lies by recruiters, that those do happen. Look out for them. Some of these things are just omission of information, which is still kind of like lying, just indirectly, passively. Some things are, like I said, I called it, out of our control. I think he's under the impression that clients don't like this. It's like, no, we go based off of them. They dictate the budget in the end of the day, but it trickles down to us. Don't get mad at us. But overall, great video. I love Josh's videos. I think they're important. If you're a developer or if you're a recruiter and you're tired of listening to me talk, go to his channel and just like gain the perspective of the other person across the phone or across the screen. That's going to make you a better recruiter in the end of the day. But yeah, that's it. I'll shut up. You know what to do. Once again, Edward Woods, thank you for commenting. And good luck to you in your endeavors. I hope you see this video. I hope it helps you out. But yeah, like the video, subscribe, and I'll see you next time. It's the Deacon. I'm out.